Alright, it's Tuesday. Yesterday we did some side work. Today we're back in the garage. Here's our list. We want to install the drag link. We want to prime it. We want to put the oil gauge back in. We had a little hiccup with the oil gauge. We want to put the line lock wire in. We want to put a power block, an alternator fuse, a main fuse, a horn, undercoat the driver's side. Again, I am definitely not an overachiever. I'm a fat underachiever. So I make a big list. Bust my ass, I'll get half of it done, and I feel good about myself. If I made a small list, I'd only do half and it'd only be 2 things. Dumb theory, but it works for me. So let's get started with putting the oil gauge back in, and I'll tell you what happened there. All these gauges are used. They are out of other vehicles I've had over the years. Whatnot. And the oil gauge, the new line would not fit the fitting on the back of the gauge, so I had to take it out and install a new fitting. So now we're going to put the gauge back in the car, hook up the line, and prime the motor. In doing so, we got to get our fat ass in there. Well, we got the old Black & Decker smoking, but we did get it primed. All the lifters have oil coming out of them now. Not sure if we got anything up on the oil pressure gauge or not, because it took a lot out of that old drill to even get it to move. Woo. Oh yeah, we got oil pressure. She's good. She's primed. Now we can change the distributor gear and put it in permanently. Alright, so we have it primed. Now we're going to change the distributor gear. That distributor was in a roller motor. This is non-roller, so we got to put a different gear on it. And then we can put the distributor in at top dead center, and we're done with that. First thing you do when you're working on your distributor, pound out the roll pin, take off the gear, which is for a roller cam. Then you get your Summit, well, I got it from your new gear, which is iron, which is for a non-roller motor. It'll fit nice, just like so, and then you put the roll pin back in. So that's what we're gonna do now. So now that we got everything primed, we got to mark number 1. We rotated the motor over to top dead center number 1. I like to put a little grease on my O-ring, a little grease around my gear. So now that we got everything lubed up, I greased it all. I marked where number 1 is. So this was number 1 before. I'm not sure how that worked out. This is number 1 for us. That was number 1 on the roller motor. Why that is, not 100% sure. But we'll double check it and make sure. Then we lube it up. I use a little bit of grease. I'm using this Super Lube synthetic grease. It is some heavy duty grease. And we're going to install this distributor and start getting her done. Alright, here's yesterday's list. Let's see, what did we get done? Nothing. We got it primed. We got the oil gauge. That's about it. Let's see, we did this. That's it. Okay, so then we started working on the torque limiter. Everything went to shit real fast. So, let's take a walk and I'll show you what. So, this is a Summit Racing torque limiter for a Fox body Mustang. This attaches to the head, has a bracket on the bottom, goes to the sway bar link. So, it does not fit a Ford Falcon. I made a couple templates, and I'm going to make it fit a Ford Falcon. First thing is, I got to make the bottom piece fit my sway bar mount, and then I can make the top piece. It's nice and warm outside today. Oh, that's a side job. And we're going to see if we can get these made today, so we can do the grinding and cutting out there instead of in here. So let's see what we got to do. Step one is this bracket. This is the lower bracket. It's supposed to fit down here on there. As you can see, mine is not. So what we're going to do, we're going to trim ours so that it will fit. We're going to cut some of that off there, just a little bit, not a lot. Then on this side, we're going to drill a new hole to move it way over where it'll bolt, and move this that away. First things first, let's see what we can do. We're going to drill a new hole right on the back side of this all the way through and see if we can make it work. So, we have the torque limiter in. Doesn't look like much, but I had to remove a lot of shit to get that thing in there. Not happy with that, so I got the stuff over here in this disaster of a garage. I gotta clean this place this weekend. I got the fittings and doodads to make it 1/2 inch all the way up to the carburetor. And let me tell you, them little bastards cost an arm and a leg. So, up to our big bad list, we got a shit ton to do and a little time to do it. 8 steps backwards, 1 step forward. So this is done. That's done, that's done, that's done, that's done, that's done. That's done and that's done. We still have all that to do just on this list. But tomorrow will be a new list. What I want to do. That is my main power in from the battery. This is my electric fan controller. This one will be battery voltage in from the battery. This is the fans. This one will go down to the starter. This one here will be with a 100 amp fuse to power the rest of the car. The alternator has to go back to the kill switch so that it doesn't keep the car running when you hit the kill switch. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I'm sure there's a smarter way to do this. This is just what I have and what I'm doing. And I had to pull the radiator out to put the torque strut in. I had to do some welding. And without the radiator hose, it just made it easier to do this stuff. So here we are. Alright, I'm going to mount a 100 amp fuse. And run some more wires. Then we'll get this radiator back in. We might tackle the fuel lines too while we're waiting for the radiator to go back in. For the carburetor. I did get that stuff and got some. I wanted to change this around. I don't like that. And I got to get the temp sensor more into the car. Get that kind of out of the way. So let's get back to work. We got a lot to do today. We want to get the radiator back in, the drag link, the fuel to carb done. We got a grease fitting that's hanging up. We want to get the horn in. We want to tighten up the valve covers, get the plugs and plug wires in, the dipstick, tranny vacuum, tranny temp sensor, the starter wires, the fan wires, bumper bolts, and the line lock positive. We weren't here Friday, And we weren't here Saturday. Today I normally clean up the shop and get ready for the week because I'm a holy terror during the week and I just make one hell of a mess. But it's the birthday weekend of the wife, and well, you know how that goes. Happy wife, happy life. So we're gonna get busy here early Sunday morning and try to knock some of this shit out. It's cold. It's supposed to warm up. Let's see what we can get done. Well, I gotta get my fat ass busy later. So now we're gonna do the spark plugs. We're probably gonna put these in it for now. Autolite 3923s. We're gonna gap them at 44 thousandths. And always when you have aluminum heads, use some anti-seize, copper, for two different types of metals. So we're going to do all four of this side, tighten the valve cover, and get with it. So, take said spark plug, take your little gizmo. I got a 45 and a 40. So we want to make them a tight 45. There it is. Take your little never sees brushy guy. This stuff is nasty. And get your threads real good. The guy who put this engine together for me and ran it, he always runs them as soon as he puts them together. Make sure they have oil pressure and whatnot. He put a weird spark plug in it, and I'm not quite sure why, but we're going with these. These are what the cylinder head and whatnot call for. Cylinder head calls for a 3924. I got 23s. It's a colder plug. The local parts stores didn't have 3924s. I ordered a bunch, but for now, we're going to put these in it because what's in it doesn't go down in the head far enough. It's got less than a ½ inch. 4.45 or 4.5 450 thousandths, and I need 750, 3/4 of an inch. Maybe. Doesn't appear to be going very well. That's the hold up here. There we go. I might have to get the stubby ratchet. It's going. I think. Wow, what the hell? I've been screwing and screwing and screwing and ain't nothing going in. What the fuck's going on here? This ain't good. Oh, there we go. There. And it may be because of the headers we went with this weird plug. I don't know. Let's get one out and take a look at it for you. I could use a wee bit extension right there, maybe. Maybe even a socket or a wrench. I don't know what size that is. 3/4. There we go. Got the correct plugs for the car. And we'll give you a little show and tell here. So, this is what's supposed to be in it. It should be a 39/34. It's got a 3/4 inch thread. This is what's in it, less than half an inch thread. These were put in there just to start it up. But there is nothing on them. The new plugs will get gapped at 44 thousandths with copper never seized. Well, I'm going to get busy on these. Alright, we got the spark plugs in on this side and the valve cover tight. So, before we run the wires, we're going to mess with this PVC valve and transmission vacuum. Back here, the gentleman I got the 347 from, Mike, this carburetor and intake were on there. He runs his PVC valve off the lower port, off the intake, and blocked off the carburetor. His was a manual. I'm going to run the PVC valve off of here because my valve covers are taller. I'm going to change that fitting down there for my vacuum module later. So, that's where we are now. Wish us luck. Let's get this sucker going. Alright, we got our vacuum lines all hooked up for the transmission going down. We got a PVC line hooked up. They're zip tied on, just because we don't want them to fall off going down the track. Fuel lines are on. We got to run the spark plug wires and a fuel pressure gauge right there. Let's do that next. We got a fuel pressure regulator gauge on. Well, we don't have a regulator, it's carbureted. Mechanical fuel pump, but there's a fuel pressure gauge. Putting the spark plug wires on this side. We're running some MSD wires. I use these little boots to help keep it from burning. Hopefully it'll burn a little slower, I guess. Always make sure you put some dielectric grease in there on both ends. I have some wire holders coming. They're not here yet. So we're going to put these wires on. I have the little plastic number gizmos on them. This one is number 2. And then we'll do the other side. Alright, we got our plug wires on for the passenger side. Now we're going to finish up this mess here, so we can get all this put back in, get the radiator back in. So far on this is our 100 amp fuse that'll power up the car. Underneath of it here, we're going to put a 300 amp fuse for the alternator. Just in case there's any issues with it. And this is our main power block in. So hopefully we can start getting, and these all go to the fan. We'll get those put in. Get some of this cleaned up a little bit. So now we're going to tighten these up, put that lid on, tighten this one up, tighten that one up, start getting this buttoned up a little bit so we can get all that put back together. And then get the radiator in. Alright, this is our alternator and battery wire. They're both soldered, shrink tubed. This is where they come up to the alternator, to my power block right there. And then I put some keep it cool or be cool heat stuff on it. Hopefully that'll go all the way down to where it gets past the header down there. And then these both go to the back of the car. So we're going to run them up here and see what we can do with them to get this part buttoned up so we can get the radiator back in. Let's see what we can do. Alright, we got our battery wire, our alternator wire figured out. We're running them under this, underneath there. We're going to use this for our starter wires. Some insulation. We're going to cut it off right there. That's going to be for the main starter wire. We're going to put a little hole right here for the starter solenoid wire. And that should take care of that. We have our starter wire made. Our solenoid wire is on the harness going down, and factory one on the starter. We're going to connect them together. Alright, so that's what that's going to look like. Our starter's all hooked up. We got to put a zip tie here, but we'll do that when we go back by the zip ties. And that'll be our power source. This wire's headed to the back. This wire's headed to the back. These are the starter wires. Now over here, we're mounting the horn right there. We're going to make that hole there at ground. And then we can put the radiator back in. Okay, so we got our upper radiator hose back on. We have our overflow tank hose back on. Next, we're going to go right here and we're going to hook up the fan wires. These are all the fan wires. So that's what we're doing next. We're going to wrap these up. Probably going to zip tie that to there. I don't know, we got to clean up this little mess. Then this whole side is done electrically. Then we'll finish up this side. Well, we got a lot hooked up. We got all the coolant system done, other than the temperature for the fans. Spark plug wires on this side. We have spark plug wires holders coming. PVC valve, vacuum to the transmission. We have the fan controller, the junction block. This side's pretty much buttoned up. We got the horn in, we got the grounds. We have to do the line lock, positive wire, and put the plug wires on that side and the air cleaner. And I believe under the hood is pretty good. Oh, we got to do a vacuum. We have to do the O2 sensor and the trans temp. And I believe under the hood stuff is pretty much buttoned up. A couple grommets we got to put in back there. But we do have our starter wires ran. Everything should be pretty good as long as our wiring's okay. I'm sure there's going to be some issues with it. We got some holders for these coming. But it's coming, and every day's a little bit more. Well, these are the parts for the Falcon, the floor mats. They got a little wear in them, but they're kind of funky looking, so they're going back in it. This is what made us come up with some blue on the Falcon, because of these stupid floor mats. And we got to get started on the home mini bike for the drag and drive. We got to get that up on the bench. Clean up some of this shit in this little garage and get back to work. When your work van's broke, you run out of space real fast. But these are the mats we're going to put in it. And remember, like and subscribe, Side Money Garage. Check us out. You might learn something. You probably won't, but you might. It's almost time to start getting these cars ready for summer. But I'm going to get out here and go try these in that Falcon, see how they fit and look with new carpet and everything. Thanks. Remember, like and subscribe, Side Money Garage. Till next time. And those that do watch, thank you.